Hi, I'm Chris Smith with Delta Media Group and Real Estate Marketing and Technology Magazine. Today, I'm talking with broker owner Leah Cox of Kelly Realtors based out of Waco, Texas. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Let's start at the beginning. How and when was Kelly Realtors founded and what's its history?
Kelly Realtors was founded in the early 1990s. Stuart Kelly was a Baylor graduate who opened up campus property management. His father owned the Kelly Company. Stuart wanted to go into real estate, residential real estate, not just property management, and also commercial real estate. So in order to do that, he opened up and founded Kelly Realtors. We are going on a little over 30 years old now. He sold the company to me in 2019. Prior to that, we worked together. I was his president of the company for a little over 20 years. I think I started in 1998. Overall, it's been a fantastic venture for him and for us.
Well, I know you provide many different services at Kelly Realtors, such as residential and commercial real estate and relocation services. Can you tell me a little bit more about each of those services that you provide?
Absolutely. So we are full service. We do, as you mentioned, commercial and residential. We also have a land and ranch division and property management. All of them, I'm pretty exclusive with them, meaning the people who work in my commercial do commercial. Also make sure they have all the designations, everything that they need to stay relevant in that market. Same with residential. Property management, the exact same. We have two types of property management in the Waco market. We have a pretty large campus for a university. We have Baylor University here, which is like a small city when it's in. So you've got about 100,000 people that come in while school is all in session. So that is in itself a small little city. So we have a on-site property management division, and we also have a kind of a residential everything but campus property management division. So all of them are separate, and but they also are integrated and work well together.
So what do you think sets Kelly Realtors apart from other brokerages that are in the area?
Yeah, it's funny. Reading your list of questions, I really contemplated that answer. Because when you are a real estate broker, we have the same service. We provide the same service. We have access to the same tools, whether we choose to use them or not. I'm an independent, so I do not have a franchisee who is dictating to me the tools that I use. But I closely monitor what my competition is offering, et cetera, et cetera. So what sets me apart is my culture. We have been involved in our community for over 30 years, and we are heavily involved in our community. We have a kind of, I guess, a value system that we give back. We're heavy contributors back to all aspects of community, whether that's Rotary, whether that is Business League, the Chamber of Commerce's, the political forums, whether it's city council, sitting on committees with the city itself. We're there, we do it. And if we're not sitting there, then we're going to be at the table because we want to know, we want to offer our insight of the growth of our community.
Well, evolution is so important in this industry, not only from just a business standpoint, but from a technology standpoint. What are some of the ways you've seen real estate technology evolve over the years that you've been in business? And what new developments do you feel have made the most significant impact?
That's really interesting because once again, reading over your questions, I noticed that in my years, thinking that through, gosh, now I'm going to date myself. When I started, we had what you would refer to as the real estate book. We had everybody gathered around a fax machine and talking to some of my new agents. They don't know what a fax machine is. They have no idea what a Rolodex is. But you gathered around a fax machine at 3 p.m. every day because that's when the the local association faxed over all the information. You had all your lists. It was called the hot sheet, and you had the list of new listings, what went under contract, what closed, what sold, what price was reduced, et cetera, et cetera. Then you had staff or designated agents who would update what they would refer to as the company MLS book. And that book had to be updated every day, because that was how you get, that's your Bible for real estate. When that changed and our first online MLS system came on, it became, job descriptions changed, the way realtors gathered their information changed. So that was fundamentally a change. Then you had obviously the internet. The internet came on. I think realtor.com was in our mid 90s. We at that point were still keepers of the information. A fundamental thing for realtors dating back from whenever you became a real estate agent, 100 years, 120 years, were able to practice and collect commissions. It fundamentally changed because for years we were the keepers of the information. Then all of a sudden, the members of the public were slowly but surely starting to rely on somebody else to know that there was availability, what was happening with the market. So that was a fundamental change. And I think the newest technology that's coming our way is going to be a fundamental change also, and that's probably AI, some auto-generated, the way leads are gathered and dispersed and where you're gathering them from. I think that's going to be a fundamental change on how brokers have their companies set up, et cetera, et cetera. I don't have any fear towards any of it. It's just going through when you think about what's happening just over the last 30 years, is going to really be interesting to see how the next 2 years affects real estate.
Well, we're super proud to have you as part of the Delta Media Group family. What were some of the key factors in your decision to work with Delta Media Group over other technology providers?
Okay, well, that's an easy one. I started my journey on looking at all of my competitors about 2017, 2018. And I was looking at their websites. I was looking at, I was calling agents. I was sneakily asking some of my competitors who were coming over, interviewing with me to join, what systems do you have in place, and trying to figure out, what they had. And I was tracking all that information. And then I would go and do research, and I started doing all of these pitches. People, you set up for lots of different, I guess, where they're coming in and giving their sales pitch on their product. Delta, the first thing that I noticed was they had it together from the very beginning. They had a list of questions for me as a broker owner, what I needed, what I was trying to get out of it. They had their initial setup was just by far, it blew everybody else out of the water. And I looked at franchise products that they use all the way to, I looked at them all. I would probably say I had over 20 sales interviews. So I narrowed it down. And Delta, and you'll probably cut this and that's okay. Delta was by far not the cheapest. It wasn't the most expensive, but money was not what I was looking. Money was not my factor in choosing Delta. The ease of getting into it contractually as a broker, I did not want to be stuck in a product that my agents were not going to utilize, or that was not going to work for my company. So that was I liked the way Delta Media had their contract written. I liked that they were very user-friendly with my wants and needs. Because I have no doubt, from a franchise to an independent to how my culture is in my own company, we all kind of have a slightly different. And I probably wore them out a little bit more because I did want a different footprint. But they made it happen. And I really appreciated that, and all the tools. And I know you're going to get into that later on, but It was fantastic. There was not anything that was lacking that came from other products. It was all encompassing.
So when it comes to the cost, you felt like the value was there for you for what you were getting?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I did not have to, and even to this day, I do not have to go out there and get a third party to bring something in that Delta's lacking. And I think that's something else. As a broker, talking to another broker, I would tell you that I have had 3 items that my marketing, my relocation, or just someone on staff has said, man, this would really be nice if we could incorporate this into either the back office or our the website itself, or maybe a CRM, something to add to that. And all it was a discussion. We had a discussion and it was done. And that is amazing. We weren't told this is just not how we do it. We only do it this way. It was one of those, wow, that's a pretty good idea. Let's go, let's see what we can come up with that. And there was several meetings, there would be several discussions, which are time, because everybody's time is precious, but wow, it happened. And the end result may have taken a little bit of extra time, but the end result is phenomenal.
So let's talk about the technology a bit. How has it helped your agents grow their businesses?
Well, because it's offered everything to them. In the past, as a company, we offered and we paid for them to have basically a page on our page. We paid for our website, and then all the agents had their small website, which did nothing. It was really just a landing page. And so the agents were having to go out there and, as they go to conferences or get education, et cetera, they're getting told they have to have this. They should have a website that's bringing in, X amount of leads, and so forth and so on. So for them, they were able to drop um, any products that they were doing extra. So that was an automatic bottom, it saved their bottom line right there, because I'm able to provide that through the Delta product. I'm also able to provide, well, as you're probably going to ask, many other products that keep them from having to buy extra things in order to do their business.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think when it comes to DeltaNet, we offer so many different tools that are available in it. And one of the things we try to do is keep it simple so it's not overcomplicated. Which of those tools in DeltaNet do you feel like have had the most impact on the growth and success of the brokerage?
For the brokerage, I feel the CRM, because I have a CRM as a broker, and my relocation department uses it extensively. I think being able to, I still want to consider myself relevant with technology. I'm not scared of it. So being able to use it on my app, because I'm an app user versus sitting down on my laptop or my iPad and logging in. It's easy for me when I'm meeting people at conference, et cetera, to literally just sit there and fill it in as if I'm doing my contact on my iPhone. So for me, it's fundamentally changed how I've done business. Then all I have to do is do a click. And so I'm talking about your CRM. I think the CRM is just, it's beautiful. I click, and all of a sudden I'll get a reminder to myself that says, hey, you need to send a thank you note. I have a different need versus doing a follow-up lead with an agent or so forth. But I think that's wonderful. The other thing is that my contact for life, the MC
My customer for
FL,
life?
my
Mhm,
customer for life. I
mhm.
think that is probably the most powerful thing that you guys offer, and no one else did when I was going through a couple years ago looking at it. Being able to subscribe to something that's really maybe not even real estate related. They're just getting information about their neighborhood. They're getting information about a coffee shops. Just being able to send them, and it's a keep in touch system that is just phenomenal. And I wished more of my agents use that. I know that we do that on the company. When I'm working on agents and recruiting, et cetera, I may not necessarily send them information constantly about why it's better to choose Kelly Realtors, but maybe they mentioned while we were talking about their son being in Little League, or, having to go to a concert for such and such. Well, I can sit there and literally just send them data on something that interests them. And I think that's cool. I just think that's a personal touch without it being in your face of, you know, this is what I'm trying to do is recruit you. So I just like that soft touch, me personally.
Well, you mentioned landing pages and websites. I think we both know websites are key to building a successful brand and increasing your online presence. How important do you think it is to have a customized website with strong SEO? And how important is that for the success of the company?
I think that is as important as your storefront. And I know we have brands out there who no longer believe in brick and mortar and do not need a storefront. I, as an independent, still believe that you do. But the second level of that, I think it's just as important to have your storefront virtual, and that is your website, that is your landing pages. Um, when you have the storefront that looks professional, that looks like what Delta Media offers, you can't do that unless you're investing in some sort of um because I looked some sort of personalized, where somebody's building you something, and then you're constantly having to update it, because once that storefront looks old, it's kind of like repainting your front door. You're constantly having to update it and keep it fresh. um I love it. And one of the things that we did as a broker, we Waco, Texas, you wouldn't think is as metro or international as it is, but we really are. We work with our chamber and a lot, the economic development for both the city and the chambers, and we have international people coming in all the time. So they actually use our website because we have the translate button, and our website translates to German, it translates to mixed Spanish, it translates to Portuguese, it translates to whatever the client needs when they're making a decision to move their company to Waco, Texas. So that has been an amazing tool for me as a broker. I just think I can't actually say enough of how valuable that tool has been for me when I can sit at a board of directors meeting and just say, oh, wait, we've got that covered. It's right here. Um, the ease of, I'm a member in Texas. We still have quite a few MLSs, and I'm a member of just about all of them, unfortunately. But when you have land guys, you have to be. But the ease of me being able to connect to all those MLSs. So I'm not just showcasing Waco, Texas, I'm showcasing my state. And you guys made that so easy, and it makes us look so brilliant. And once again, we have companies who may choose not to move to the McLennan County Waco area, but they're still using our site, because our site is still giving them information on Austin. It's still giving them information on Dallas, because I'm connected with all of that data, and it translates it for them, and they like that. So I actually have gotten emails from people that I may never see, but they are thanking us for the ability for that translation. So kudos to you guys for making that happen.
Do you think that's a feature on your website that provides the most value, or is there something else that stands out to you?
Well, right now, since I just got that email a couple of days ago, that is one of my top of mind value. The other things that I think is the search, the way you guys do your searches is pretty awesome. Um, you also are, for a broker who, I can go to a conference or attend a meeting, and someone can sit there and say, hey, instead of having open houses on your website listed, maybe you should try this as a marketing technique, or say something. I like being able to change those blocks, just to be the ease of being able to grow, and be able to do different things when I need to. It's brilliant. I don't know why anyone, if you're static, then you're not using it to its capacity, because right now if there's a marketing trend that you need to be on top of, you can adjust your website to meet that marketing trend just by a phone call or an email.
So as a relatively large brokerage, what are some of the strategies you have for communicating with your team members?
I use a lot of the drip campaigns that you guys offer, actually, because you have the ability to customize them, especially for stuff that's coming up in months ahead. But I also use, this is but we still do virtual Zoom meetings like we're doing right now. Um, I actually set up my training room to where the cameras are all built into the walls, and that makes it to where all I have to do is use a little remote control, turn it on, everything's just smooth. So as a broker, that was a little bit of an investment, but it sure has made that virtual so much easier to deal with. Also, I think the technology of AI is going to make my life easier. And that's probably skipping ahead a little bit, but um, I am not scared of it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, well, you're talking about training, and the theme for the issue of this magazine is training. Um,
Mhm.
you mentioned AI, Chat GPT. Have you tapped into that at all? And have any
Yes,
of
we
your
have.
agents done it? Have they found it useful?
They have. We're an hour, 15 minutes away from Austin. Ojo is in Austin. I sit on the strat planning for our state association, and we were touring their offices. And I don't know if you're familiar with who Ojo is, but they are an AI real estate company. And when I say AI real estate company, they're an AI real estate company. They are a broker house that is nothing but AI. They generate leads, and then they turn around and sell them back to the broker houses. But the way they do it is totally different. When you listen to them, we sat through all of it because it was so eye-opening. All they are is their whole company is nothing but platforms of computers. You have very minimal people in there. But when someone, we have those chat bots and so forth on our websites. When the when a member of the public calls this company in Austin, they cannot tell. It sounds just like Leah Cox talking to them. There is no differentiation between how I'm responding to you in this interview and how that AI is responding to them. And does that scare me as a human? Yeah, actually, it kind of does, because when you're sitting there listening to something that sounds so human and so responsive, and it learns, now that was 3 years ago, it's continuing learning to learn. So the responses are even more human-like. It is scary, but I have to trust in, mankind in general, that we're never going to allow that to take over the human world. We're not going to become a movie. Um, and we're going to use it for what it's meant to be, which is to allow us to have a better interaction. I still believe that they're going to hand off the information to a real person. Obviously they do, or they wouldn't be attacked. They would not be calling brokers to buy their leads, because someone still has to be face to face with the client. So to answer your question, I think it's amazing technology. I'm not worried. Maybe I should be, but I'm not. I think it's just another tool that we're going to have, that we can have access to. My agents already are utilizing it, especially that chat. And I think I think it's going to, again, it will scare some brokers, it will scare some agents, but I think overall it will just be another tool.
Well, I know that you and a few other members of your team were recently inducted into the RPAC Hall of Fame in Washington, D.C. for your advocacy for property rights. Tell me how you've been advocating and why it feels so important to do that.
Wow. Well, um, under all is the land. Every single one of us at some point has to have a key to something, whether we rent something, we own something, we're unlocking a door somewhere. Um, if we're not advocating for homeowner rights, then I'm a transactional broker. And I kind of mentioned to you at the very beginning, my culture and my company is we're not a transactional company. We are a community-based company. In Texas, you know, we do not have a large tax base. We do not have transfer tax. We do not have a state sales tax or state tax, I should say. We do have a state sales tax. There's that a lot of other states have. So the homeowners seem to get beat up a lot. Our property taxes are pretty high. You know, advocating for that for the state and then advocating that for the on the national level, that's a big deal. And if the reality of it is real estate and everything that we have, this is where you're going to have to probably cut me out because I get very passionate about this. Real estate is 25% of the economy for our nation. Everything that we believe in as the American dream is backed by that real estate word. Under all is land, communities, cities, even people who want to live off the grid. You still have to go around and deal with real estate. You're having to figure out what to do. It affects us all. It affects our infrastructure. If we do not have a grasp on what we are and why we're doing what we're doing, selling real estate, we're losing. We're going to lose the battle. We're going to be non-relevant. We have to fight for advocate for, you know, property rights to make sure that everyone's treated equally, to make sure that everyone has the right to get into a home. You know, right now we're dealing with interest rates that are a little bit higher than they were a couple of years ago. Those couple of years were unicorn years. You're not going to ever find a 1%, 2% interest rate in the history of the American economy. Prior to that, we were dealing with what we're in now in that 5 to 6%. So we're basically gone back to normal. You know, we're no longer in a unicorn real estate market. And the sad thing is that we're now going to have to advocate for a lot of those first time home buyers. We're going to have to advocate for, you know, the people who are lower income, because everybody deserves the right to homeownership. It's the first way to build wealth. It's the first way for people who have never been able to have wealth or to build that wealth to start building that wealth. I mean, that is how the American dream was built. That's why people left their countries and to come over here was in order to buy a piece of property and to farm it and to feed their families and to make it their own. In America, we still own our own property, and that's a big deal. You know, the government doesn't own our property, we do. It may seem like they do with the taxes and so forth, but that's why. And I've never had a problem with giving and fighting for homeowner rights and advocating for the citizen, because I think that is ultimately what, again, I've repeated it and said it twice already, the American dream. And we've got to keep that readily available for everybody, for every single person who's still wanting to participate in the big American dream, who's immigrating over. We've got to make sure that we still are providing them with the ability to buy a home, rent a home, protect their family. We've got to be able to do that. So there lies why. That's why I'm passionate about it.
Well, the passion not only shows through you, but also Kelly Realtors as a whole. You're very involved in the community as you attend events regularly, as well as host many yourself. What are some of the ways you give back to the community, and what are some of the organizations that you're affiliated with?
Well, I kind of mentioned this earlier. I sit on boards with the chambers, committees with the city. I make sure my agents are giving back to the community also by making sure that they are, you know, who wants to go to a city council meeting? Come on. Not a person wants to sit through a city council meeting. I try to make sure that somebody's at a city council meeting, because what happens at city council happens to all of its citizens. And we've got to be aware of what's going on, planning and zoning. Yes, I give back. You know, I still do. I still have a St. Patrick's Day party once a year, and that's really not a give back, but that's where I host an event where I invite the community to come have a green beer and some Irish stew and try to connect with them and make sure they realize that we're still advocating for them and working for them. We volunteer at all of the, well, as many as we can. I mean, I have a list, and I'm ashamed that I don't have it in front of me, but of agents that, and myself, that we give our time to, that we volunteer to. And if it's not collecting for school supplies or food for families or so forth, the best thing and the most valued thing that you have is your time. And I would say it's easy to put money in something. That's easy. But when you're giving of your time and you are cleaning up parks, you're helping mow lawns, you're helping paint houses, that's pretty special in my world. So I I kind of make it, when I'm talking to agents, I really stress find out who they are, not necessarily what they've done in real estate, but what they do to give back to the community is one of my top priorities as a broker. So it's kind of that culture thing.
Do you have anything that you're working on new at Kelly Realtors, or any plans for the future that you want to share with us that are upcoming?
Um, I, I think incorporating AI is probably going to be new. Keeping training relevant, um, making sure that the agents, because right now I have my tenure for agents is probably about 14 years. So I have very low turnover, which is kind of unheard of in a real estate brokerage house. But when they come, they stay. When so I've really been trying to, in the last probably 5 years, bring on the people who are going to replace all of us. We've got to train our replacements, right? Saying that, creating a culture for people who are in a different generation to someone of my mindset is kind of hard because everybody thinks that they have a better way. They're younger, they can do it better, they can do it this way, this way, this way, this way. When I open up what we offer and who we are, they're blown away, the younger generation, because they see Delta, they see everything that we have access to, they see everything that we do. And I'm really surprised at the amount of youth that's coming in that really are embracing the give back. They like the farmers market concept versus just sitting on the online and ordering everything from Amazon. That's the only way I can figure it out. So they're embracing, community and getting involved, and I love it. I love that that's happening. So as for new things, it's almost like a reintroduction to old style. So I hate to use that word, but because I hate the word old, but kind of going back to basics maybe is the better word to use. So that's kind of new, but at the same time, embracing some of the new technology, keeping everyone abreast of, what is going on in our world, and making sure that any changes that are coming down the pipeline for our world, that we're aware of it. And because, you know, no one wants to go through change. But as that first question we were addressing of what we've seen change in our world, we're going to have some pretty relevant change coming probably in less than 2 years. And the trees are going to be shaken. A lot of the nuts are going to fall off. That's okay. But some leaves, they're going to fall off too. But that tree is going to bend, and the real estate industry is going to flourish. We're going to be okay. It will be changed forever, but the internet changed us forever also, and we survived. So I guess that's what I would consider what's on my horizons, is just keeping up with what you guys are doing in your world and making sure that we stay on top of all the trainings that you guys offer. That was something else I did not mention. You guys have I can't think of his name. He's always coming on board doing those weekly trainings and kind of updates with what's going on.
Harley?
That is, yes, fantastic, hands down, one of the best things that you guys do. It is you know, you can pop agents into a meeting, offer them some pizza and just say, hey, watch this. It's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and it will give them some new insight on either an update to a system or maybe just an introduction to something that they may have known was there, but they've never utilized it. And now they're going, hey, this would work for me. So yeah, it's great.
So if anyone out there is watching and wants to get in touch with you or has any questions for you, what's the best way to reach out?
Cell phone. You can call me on my cell phone, 254-722-6493. My email address, which I now have monitored by my assistant, lcox@kellyrealtors.com. And it will get to me now. So I made sure of that. Um, Other than that, call me my cell, my office number also. They'll just forward it to me, 254-741-1500.
Sounds good. I want to thank you for joining me today and sharing your insights on the industry. And also thank you for being a part of the Delta Media Group family. We wish you nothing but continued success moving forward.
Thank you.